is the universe speaking to you. You are now tuned into the Modern Spiritual Life Coaching Podcast by the certified master life coach and spiritual guide, Coach Chip. Welcome, souls. We now begin this episode of a transformational journey. Unedited, unscripted, and creating something from nothingness. Now, let there be light on Modern Spiritual Life Coaching.
Good morning, I'm Alchemy Coach Chip. Welcome to the Friday of the Morning Gratitude on the Modern Spiritual Podcast Live. This is episode number 94, and here's a tune to kickstart your Friday morning.
Good morning. It's a Friday. I'm Alchemy Coach Chip on the Morning Gratitude of the Modern Spiritual Podcast Live. And this day, today, we're going to talk about the backdoor entries of the COVID-19, the possibilities of how this COVID can get into you to affect you by some of the simple things that you couldn't even imagine. And I have actually did some research on this, and by a lot of experience over the last few months, we have found that diet sodas are the ones that could be the possibility for the COVID-19 to give a backdoor entry. I know alcohol can do it as well. We'll talk about alcohol after this and a little bit later in this episode. We'll do our own meditation to bring our vibrations up as well. But with diet soda, many people don't understand that the aspartame and the stevia that's already in there, which they call the flavoring, a sweetener, that causes a lot of problems. And I know this because I stopped drinking Diet Mountain Dew altogether, soda completely, for over 30 days. And I feel a total difference. And I'll tell you exactly what it does. Is when you drink that stuff, it doesn't digest normally like it would water or other juices because of the aspartame and the stevia, the sweeteners that they put into that. Plus, it has a chemical inside that sweetener that has a trigger to your brain, and it flicks a switch on, and it makes you drink more. So if you ever sat down with a soda and you said it tasted good, but it's really sweet, and it wanted you to crave more and to drink more, which that intends to put that switch on into your mind to drink more soda. As you do throughout the day, you'll start to bloat up, and that means your intestines and all your other organs are not functioning like they should be. That's going to do some pain on those organs, and if you have asthma, it will affect your asthma and your breathing, because as you bloat, and then your asthma becomes constricted through your system, and then the asthma can give you an asthma attack actually because of the chemicals inside that. We're going to learn more about what one sip of diet soda does to your body. And then when we come back, we'll talk about the alcohol and the COVID-19 backdoor traps, as I call them. So let's tune into this right now here on the Modern Spiritual Podcast Live.
Diet soda, the cure for the common cola, or just another guilty pleasure? You'd think this would be a pretty cut and dried case. On the one hand, we've got a fizzy fun candy drink with some questionable numbers on the label, but on the other hand, we've got a fizzy fun candy drink that has... wait, nothing? Well, close to nothing anyway. What could go wrong? Well, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't complicated. Diet sodas don't have the same reputation as lemon cleanses. Chances are if you've opted for a diet drink with friends around, you've gotten more of an earful than a mouthful regarding that sweet treat. Despite having an image as a healthier, tasty beverage alternative, diet sodas have always been challenged by claims of being, well, anything but. What are these allegations? Where do they come from? Well, get cozy, folks. We've got some stories to pour over and a couple of suspects booked in for an appearance tonight. But first... we're taking a look at an issue from a variety of perspectives. Chances are we'll get more than a few answers, so once again, we're not trying to tell you what is or isn't healthy. If you're drinking something, chances are there's a label on the back or a website to learn more information. This is meant to be an unbiased approach to a controversial subject. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Sodas are a sweet drink containing carbonated water and flavoring. I'm told they're a refreshing, crisp beverage, but I wouldn't know personally. I don't touch the stuff. Not hot enough. We'll be focusing on diet sodas particularly for this episode, but it wouldn't be research if we didn't start at the source. So let's briefly skim over the history of carbonated beverages. The first batch of artificially produced carbonated liquids was manufactured in the late 1700s, but hot dang if the Greeks weren't already curious about it 2,000 years before that, after noticing what they thought were medicinal benefits from naturally carbonated water springs. The Greeks, clever as they were, couldn't reproduce the phenomena at the time. Who knows why? I guess they were too busy revolutionizing the realm of art and science. So, a couple of millennia later, in 1767, English separatist, theologian, natural philosopher, and chemist Joseph Priestley accidentally invented it. Psst, little foreshadowing, this won't be the last time someone accidentally invents something in this video. Naturally, considering not just the spring water mentioned before, but the many fermented alcoholic drinks across history. But Priestley had constructed a lab environment capable of bringing carbonation to water without fermenting a bunch of produce in a barrel. people were pretty excited about this. In fact, in 1775, a Scottish physician named John Knuth liked it so much, he said, "Hey, I love this machine you've built. Really, I love the fizzy water. I do not like the urine taste, though. I might try to get the pig bladder out of the blueprints." So he made a better version, because nothing says improvement like, "We made it taste less like pee," and sent word to Priestley about his findings. Priestley wasn't thrilled, taking personal offense to his original design. I don't have a direct tap on how he responded, but it was sort of like, "This doesn't taste like urine. Yours tastes like urine. I bet your servants urinated in it. My servants don't do that." Okay, I'm paraphrasing, but that last bit was a true accusation. Naturally, it didn't take too long for the dust to settle and for Priestley to admit that Knuth had in fact improved upon his original design. And wouldn't you know it, the world thought so too, so it became wildly popular. As time went on, folks started improving on that design even further, getting creative with ingredients, sometimes a little too creative with ingredients. Uh-oh. But we're getting a little too close to losing sight of the story. There will be some links to a few videos below if you want more on this part of soda's history, but for now, let's fast forward a bit to the 19th century. Alright, so sodas are great. People love them as a sweet, drinkable treat, but wouldn't we all love to have our cake and eat it too? And eat that cake with soda? Well, never you fear, because along came a Russian chemist named Konstantin Fallberg, who proceeded to revolutionize the soda industry with coal tar derivatives. Wait, what? Right. Remember when we were talking about accidental discoveries? History will remember Fallberg as the man who discovered anhydroorthosulfamine benzoic acid, the compound known best today as saccharin. But it's how he discovered it that's truly wonderful. I'll let the man speak for himself. In an interview he did with Scientific American July 17th, 1886, quote, "One evening I was so interested in my laboratory that I forgot about supper until quite late, then rushed off for a meal without stopping to wash my hands. I sat down, broke a piece of bread, and put it to my lips. It tasted unspeakably sweet. I rinsed my mouth with water and dried my mustache with my napkin, when, to my surprise, the napkin tasted sweeter than the bread. I again raised my goblet, and as fortune would have it, applied my mouth where my fingers had touched it before. It flashed upon me that it was the cause of a singular, universal sweetness, and I accordingly tasted the end of my thumb, and found that it had surpassed any confectionery I had ever eaten. I had discovered, or made some coal tar substance which out-sugared sugar. I dropped my dinner and ran back to the laboratory." Yeah, Fallberg's a taste first, ask questions later sort of guy. Not at all advisable, but dang if I don't respect the chutzpah. But yeah, wash your hands, folks. The good news is, Fallberg's hands weren't covered in a dangerous chemical, but instead the concoction that would later be known as saccharin, a pioneer compound in the world of artificial sweeteners. Artificial sweeteners, or sugar substitutes, are a food additive that has the potential to, through plenty of research and experimentation, replace natural ingredients. The first example of a diet soda was in 1952, where NoCal, a diet drink that you won't find on the convenience store these days, used saccharin as a core ingredient to replace sugar. It was invented primarily as an alternative drink to diabetics, but was shortly thereafter buried under the colossal influence of soda's big league players like Pepsi and Coke, as they stepped into the diet soda market. Saccharin may have pioneered the path for artificial sweeteners, but today it is among a variety of options, and it would be almost entirely replaced by aspartame in 1982, as it served to be a more palatable alternative that maintained the same no-calorie benefit. Today, aspartame is joined by other sugar-replacing compounds like stevia or sucralose, but in 1982 it heralded a turning point for the soda industry.
Introducing Diet Coke. You're gonna drink it just for the taste of it.
Is that what I've been drinking?
Yeah,
Oh, it's got that new sweetener in it.
it's sweeping the planet.
Diet Coke and Diet Pepsi would be the juggernauts that gained the most from it, and considering their popularity today, it seems like the switch from saccharin was a smart move. While Coke and Pepsi certainly maintain their spot as the royal family of diet drinks, there certainly is no shortage of options when it comes to sugar-free beverages. Sprite, Fanta, Mountain Dew, ginger ale. If there's a fizzy drink behind the counter, then there's an equal chance that there's a diet variant of it as well. But what is it exactly about diet soda that has people concerned?
Aspartame or saccharin, or what's the other one? Sucralose?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, those have all been shown to like screw up the microbiome.
Yeah, those are really bad.
Research continues about how these sweeteners affect appetite.
Serious conditions such as asthma, lymphomas and leukemia, brain tumors and brain cancer, irritable bowel syndrome, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, and epilepsy.
Saccharin, during its heyday, wasn't just critiqued for its less than palatable aftertaste. Many also considered it a potential carcinogen, primarily around 1981. Again, smart move Coke and Pepsi, though studies since then have proven those claims to be false. But some things never change. There's still an argument to be made not just over the health benefits to artificial sweeteners, but the health risks. While diet soda may have originally been marketed as an alternative drink for diabetic individuals, rodent studies in recent years have indicated that there's a potential link between diabetes and artificial sweeteners. Though there are also arguments against the nature of these studies, both due to the long-standing argument that rodent studies are not 100% accurate imitations of the human body, and the growing concern over a concept known as reverse causation, which supports the idea that those who are aware of their own personal risk towards diabetes or heart stroke will be more likely to drink diet soda, resulting in some of the data being debated on both sides. Another argument relates to how artificial sweeteners affect not just our body, but our brain as well. Our brain has to check in whenever we eat something in order to relay the message to the rest of the body on just how to digest the foreign material. In the case of, say, something sweet, the brain goes, "Right, that's going to be high in calories. Better let the pancreas know about that." And the pancreas is like, "Oh dang, something sweet, eh? Alright, I'll get the boys." And the boys are like, We're insulin. We store sugar in the cells for energy." Alright, I ran out of steam with the story, but you get the idea. So, what happens when you introduce something that is artificially sweet? Well, the brain calls the pancreas hits up the insulin, and the insulin does nothing, because there's no sugar to store. It's like spending the day preparing for a birthday party only to have nobody show up. That might be a fun practical joke to pull the first few times, but scientists think that this kind of regulated trickery could lead to something known as metabolic syndrome, which, when we go down the list of potential conditions, does raise some all too familiar risks, including diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. Another point about metabolic syndrome is the theory that the introduction of this trick of the mind could play a hand in how our bodies metabolize actual calories. All of these concerns certainly lead one to ask, are diet sodas bad for you? Well, if our research has shown us anything today, it's that, above all else, they're certainly not good for you. Because at the end of the day, whether it's got sugar or artificial sweetener or anything in between, soda is a treat. But treats are okay. Rewarding yourself can do a great deal toward personal motivation, and on a purely chemical level, tasting something sweet or sugary can feel pretty dang nice. So if diet soda falls into the same category as regular soda, is there even a reason to drink something sugar-free at all? Well, sure, why not? Bodies are unique, every one of them. Perhaps yours absorbs particular nutrients in a way that would better digest artificial sweeteners rather than raw sugar. I mean, that reason alone is how diet drinks were even marketed in the first place. Though, frankly speaking, no soda is the best kind of soda when we're getting down to the brass tacks on healthy drinks. Just like candy or snacks, there's really no universal benefit to be found in regular volumes. But should you feel guilty about the odd sip here or there, particularly if you've been careful to practice a healthy lifestyle elsewhere in your life, well, really, that's up for you to decide. Treats are not inherently awful things, and the quality of life they can provide are just as measurable as anything else on the label. Just as true as anything in life, moderation is key. You can have your Coke and drink it too. Just maybe not 13 every day, alright?
And there you have it, about what one sip of diet soda can do to you. And how this boils down to COVID-19, well, if it takes that much effect on your body, that means it's obviously affecting your nervous system, and then your immunity system. And that's how the COVID-19 comes in the back end of it. So weakening yourself and weakening your body by using some of these bad habits that you have been doing for a long time can cause the low immunity system on that. Now we're going to jump into alcohol, and what does alcohol do? I have completely given up alcohol, and I'll tell you the reason why. COVID-19 can walk on the back end of the alcohol without even you knowing it. And this is how many have been affected during parties. They're thinking they're going to relax, they're going to have fun. But what does alcohol do for your body? It takes away the vitamins, the nutrition from it, and it lowers your immunity system. That's why in the morning you wake up with a hangover and you have a headache, you're tossing your cookies in the toilet, you feel your nervous system's all out of whack, which they call the shakes. And that means it lowers down your immunity system. And then when you start to have that hangover, you may feel that it's just a hangover, it's okay, I'll recuperate. And you go get some orange juice and etc. But then the COVID's already in your system and already taken effect. So once you think you're recovering, you're really not. You actually got now the symptoms of COVID-19. Those are the possibilities of how alcohol affects you on the back end and with the unhealthy foods as well. That's to take into your thought for today, being very informative on this show. Because I've been reading some stuff about California's dream turned into a nightmare, as well as Florida is now having every 8 minutes someone passing away from COVID-19. These are the states that were protesting and fighting and wanting to reopen. Now they're the highest in the deadly rate in the COVID-19 in the globe. Now, we've been talking about this for 5 months, and the COVID has hit the front home, my home, and we've recovered from it and became COVID-19 free. So what our information that we broadcast here is in truth, and this is why we do it. So right now you're going to hear from impacts of alcohol consumption, isolation during COVID-19, from the health experts that weigh in on this. Right here on the Modern Spiritual Podcast.
Watching out for you tonight, and right now a lot of us uncertain about what to do, what to buy, how to cope. Grocery stores selling out of food and toilet paper. Well, alcohol is also selling fast. Many stocking up on beer, liquor, wine during this pandemic. And while it's been a boom for some local businesses, it's also a health concern for some. News 5's Katie Blaze speaking with local experts on some good reminders for all of us.
Well, with most of us not going into the workplace right now or being able to see family and friends, it's a stressful time, and people are turning to a variety of coping strategies, one of them being alcohol.
It was like Christmas in March.
Gregor Husgen, owner of Downtown Fine Spirits and Wine, says it was around St. Patty's Day when hordes of people started coming through his business.
People bought humongous amount of bigger quantities, i.e. box wine, wines, cases, etc. So it was crazy.
Fearful of the restrictions setting in due to the coronavirus, people stocked up on alcohol.
We had lines going out the door.
According to a Nielsen study, alcohol sales were up 55% the week of March 21st. Compared with March 2019, it's a pretty big spike. The Colorado Licensed Beverage Association agrees. The organization says there are approximately 1,600 liquor stores in the state, and that many are reporting anywhere from a 12 to 18% increase in volume of sales. While Husgen says things have slowed down a bit since that initial rush, business is still elevated. And with so much alcohol now on hand for people in their homes,
we're certainly worried about that.
Because for some, alcohol is a coping strategy.
In times of stress like this, it's really easy to fall back on bad habits and overindulge in certain things that can really cause more problems in the end.
Things like alcohol, other drugs, access is a key thing. If I have it right there, I'm more likely to reach to it and use it.
While both men say there's nothing wrong with having a drink every now and then, moderation is key.
It's even more important now than it is on any other time. Make good decisions about what you're putting in your body, how you're handling the stress that you're under.
And stress is something we're all feeling right now, some more than others. Bell tells me through his own sessions and speaking with fellow counselors,
the use has definitely gone up.
He's seeing a mix of behaviors with his substance abuse clients.
Some of them are continuing along doing fine. Others have definitely relapsed back to heavier use, and they're struggling with that. The anxiety is a big part of it, and actually just the whole social isolation piece of it.
While he isn't seeing an uptick in clients right now,
my guess is once things start heading back towards normal, it's going to change. People who have gotten into perhaps drinking heavier during this period Now they're having to get back into the real world.
Ray Carrington is a clinical mental health counselor for A Good Life Counseling. He primarily works with court-ordered substance abuse cases, people who've gotten DUIs or committed other crimes related to alcohol.
We're seeing more relapse than we have in the past.
He says a big issue is the change in external support for clients.
You have people that are really involved in the gym. They're really involved in the incline, and these are things that they are supplementing in their life to maintain their sobriety, and it all closed one day. The longer this goes, the harder it's going to be, and I'm not sure we can push back hard enough with resources.
But he says everyone in the mental health field is doing their best, trying to get more telecare events going on and increasing availability to those who need help. So if you are someone struggling with alcoholism or feel like you might be headed down that road,
rather than reach for a bottle to pour myself a drink, can I do some breathing? Can I maybe go for a walk? Do something along those lines to help calm myself down. Exercise in general helps a lot. Of course, eating a healthy diet helps a lot. The connection through video, phone, whatever.
But of course, if things escalate,
there are lots of counselors available to talk to. Some are doing it in person, some are doing it through telehealth.
So remember this, while resources and life in general aren't normal right now, there is help and hope out there. And in this time of uncertainty, it's important to deal with a substance abuse problem sooner rather than later.
That's as critical as it is as wearing the mask and staying away from the virus. Is if we're not taking care of ourselves in other ways, then that can be just as dangerous, if not more.
And if you or someone you know is struggling with substance abuse, counselors recommend reaching out to SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. They have a crisis line and counselors you can talk to 24/7 who can help you get connected to resources. That number is 1-800-662-4355.
And there you have it about the alcohol consumption during the COVID-19. And we already discussed some of the backdoor entries because, you know, COVID is a virus, and it's no different than a virus on your computer. And when that computer virus lets out, it goes through every file and every entry or exit way that computer has to locate a way to get in. Once it gets in, it starts to destroy the files. The COVID-19 does the same thing. That's why they call it a virus. This is a powerful and a very deadly virus, and I advise everyone to take safety into a number one priority. Wear your mask, hand sanitizers, gloves if necessary, because I do when I go out. Stay that 6 feet apart, because this here, you will survive it if you follow the measured guidelines by the CDC and by other programs that you're hearing from doctors and experts as well. Such as if the drinking or the overeating, those are the ones that can contribute to the deadly virus as well. We talked about meditation. They talked about breathing. Well, it's meditation. And we got an Om meditation coming up here shortly that I'm going to leave you with, because this is the end of the episode, of this episode. I'll be back tomorrow with a Power Half Hour and some more informative information for you, plus some music as well, and another meditation. So wherever you're listening to us from around the world, I bid you a good day and a good night. Stay safe and peace until the next episode on the Power Half Hour on the Modern Spiritual Podcast Live.